Hi, Ross with socialmagnets.net, and welcome to our second video in this series on how to use Twitter. This is a Twitter tutorial of the basics and getting started. If you just got done watching our first video, which was how to sign up to Twitter, then this would be the next one for you. And if you need help getting signed up to Twitter, then you can check that video out. So here we go. So basically where we left off last was that we signed up for Twitter, we created a user, we made our profile, right? And we added our photo. And now it's time to start learning how to follow people, how to send our first tweet, and how to retweet, and some of the other basic functions of how to interact with people on Twitter. So here's what we're going to do. As you can see right here, it says we've done 0 tweets, we're following 0 people, and we have 0 followers. The following and followers are important because this is how we have conversations and communicate. So what we want to do is we want to figure out, okay, who do we want to follow? Now they have some suggestions here, but they're roughly random. So I'm not going to use this right now. This will go away after we follow the first 5 people. To make it easy, what we'll do is we'll just have you follow me so that you can learn how to do it. And then you can always unfollow me if you want afterwards, but I put up some pretty good material, so you're welcome to continue to follow me. But let's just show you how you follow somebody. You click in the search button here, or the search box there, and I'm going to just have you type in my name, Ross Quintana. That's ROSSQUINTANA, and hit enter. Now you're going to see me right here, okay? And this shows my username, and this is one of the tweets, which is a message that I've sent recently. So what you'll do is click on my photo, and then this is that little bio. The reason why we made our bio first is so that people won't follow you if you haven't filled out your bio. So you need to fill out your bio. That's what we did in the first video. And as you can see, this is my bio. It's got my name, and it's got my username on Twitter, which is @Ross_Quintana. That's how people communicate with me on Twitter, and my picture. And then it's got my little bio right there, my profile, and my website. So what you'll see is here, I have 2,500 tweets messages I've sent out. This is how many people I'm following, and this is how many people are following me. And the most important button right here, and then it shows some of my latest tweets. The most important button for you is right here, is the follow button. You're going to click the follow button, and now it says following. Now you're following me, and my follower number went up one. So that's as easy as it is. So now to see what that does, go ahead and close that window and click back here on your home button. And this is what happens when you follow somebody. Now all of my posts that I tweet are going to show up in your home feed. So if you're following one person, it's going to show all of my posts. If you're following 2 people, they'll be mixed up, both of our posts. And it's chronological in order, so this is my latest post 3 minutes ago, and it says 3M, 4M for 4 minutes, 1 hour ago I posted that. And you can scroll down as far as you want, going back through those posts. So now that's what happens when you follow somebody. Now you see my feed. But right now you have 0 people following you, so nobody's going to see your feed. So before we get started tweeting or sending messages and sharing things, you want to figure out how to get followers. So to get followers, typically on Twitter, you can look for your friends and family and search for them, see who's on here using Twitter. You can go to the Discover tab up here, and it says who to follow. There's suggestions, right? And the reason why we fill out our profile is because they said, like I put in a snowboarder, so they've got a skateboarder here. And I said I was in Spokane, so some of these people might be from Spokane. So information you put in there, they'll try and take your profile and match up people you might be interested in following. Another thing you can do is click Find Friends, which lets you search your Gmail or Yahoo, your email, for all the people in your email, and then it can say how many of them are on Twitter, and you can quickly find them to follow. Or you can browse by category, and this has people in music, sports, entertainment, and a lot of times what they'll do is they'll either pick the most popular people, or they might also try and take into account some of your criteria when they suggest people that you put in your profile. So let's go back to our home page, okay? We can see you're following one person now, and if you follow me, I'll follow you back, so that creates a connection. Now that there's a connection, not only can you see what I am tweeting, but I can see what you're tweeting. That's a connection. And when you follow somebody, they tend to follow you back, and that's called a follow back. That's how you build your audience. So when you see that I have, however many 1,600 followers, you notice that I'm following 1,900. So if I click my profile here, what you can see is, these followers, I'm following more people that are following me, and that's usually how it goes, is you follow people and then they follow you back, and that's how you grow your followers. Now what you want to do is make sure and follow people who are going to care about what you have to say. So if you're into basketball, then follow people who are in search for people who are in basketball, or topics about basketball. That way, when you're sending messages all the time about basketball, if you send that to just random people, they're not going to want to follow you because they don't care about what you're talking about. So it's really about making sure that the people following you have something in common with you. And that's why they suggest people, it says who to follow, because they're taking things that you're into and trying to connect you with people similar so that you can talk to people about the same thing. So what we're going to do now is, if I follow you back, then when you tweet, it'll show up in my feed and we can start a conversation. So let's do your first tweet. There's two ways to tweet. You can either click Compose New Tweet right here in your home screen, or in any screen you can click the blue Compose New Tweet button. So let's click that, and it says what's happening. And so I can type in whatever I want. I only get 140 characters. It says right here 140. As I start typing, it'll minus those out. So I'm going to say, you can type your first tweet, can be something simple like, this is my first tweet. Okay? Now click tweet. And what happens? It says your tweet was posted. It shows you made one tweet. And look right here. In your home feed, it's going to show your tweets. So it says, this is my first tweet. Now, whenever you roll over any of these, it gives you some options. You see, you can reply. Obviously, you won't reply to yourself, or you'd be talking to yourself. But you can delete. That's the most used one for your tweets. If you change your mind, you don't want to tweet that, or you want to change it to something else, you can delete it and put something else. Now, when you roll over somebody else's profile, you get 3 key options here. One is reply. That means that you'll send a message that will say my username. It'll say @Ross_Quintana, and then whatever you want to say. So let's click reply, and we're going to say, I love this tweet. Okay? So click tweet, and now that's going to show up in my feed. Even if I'm not following you back, this is how you talk to people, especially if it's people who you may want to follow you, but they're not because you haven't started a conversation. Some people will follow you back just because you followed them, but other people won't. So they'll only follow back people once they want to talk to that person. So in an example here, this tweet right here says, it's a quote that I retweeted, which is where I shared someone else's tweet, and it says, hem your blessings with thankfulness so they don't unravel. Okay, so you wrote back when you click the reply button, I love this tweet. Now that'll show up in my feed, even if I'm not following you, and I'll have a chance then to go back and click on your username, and maybe I follow you, or maybe I reply to you and start a conversation, and eventually that leads to me following you. The key with Twitter is you want people to follow you, because if you're sharing information, it's only useful if it's going to people who care to listen. So it's a great way, but I just showed you by replying to something, even if we aren't, if I'm not following you yet, you can reply to stuff that I'm saying and try and start a conversation. Some people will reply to you and respond, and other people might ignore it. But that's a great way to get to know people. So now you've learned what the reply button does. Now remember, the one thing about reply is this is public. So if you had 100 followers and I clicked and I replied to you and said, hey, I love this post, that's going to show up on everybody's wall, all 100 of my followers. So sometimes people, when they're tweeting back and they read something that says, they read something they like and their response is reply, that's cool. Well, if you reply a bunch of things that people don't know what you're talking about, and it's just showing up from you saying that's cool in their feed, they may get annoyed with that and they may unfollow you. So just an important thing to understand about replying is that it goes to everybody who you're following. Later in another video, you'll learn how you can direct message someone if you want it to go only to them. So here's the second button. It says retweet. That's what I do if I really like your tweet, your message, and I want to share it with all my followers. So say I see you're going through and you're searching NBA and you see somebody making a great comment or something, then you can retweet it by clicking the retweet button. And then it copies everything that they said and you just hit retweet. And now you'll share it to all your followers. And you can see here the green arrow means that you've retweeted that. Now, I can also favorite. If I like something and I want to put it as a favorite, I can click favorite. You can also favorite things if you want to get back to them so that you can remember them, because it'll go on a list where you can access it later. And the nice thing about retweeting and favoriting and replying is that every time you do those actions, this person who you're doing that for can see you in their feed. So you'll show up and it'll show up that you replied to them or that you retweeted one of their posts and that you favorited one of their posts. Retweeting is a great way to get people to follow you or to conversate with you because you're sharing their information. And so most people are thankful that you're sharing their information. They're going to come back and say thank you, and that can start off a conversation. So there you go. Those are the basics for this video. What we learned in this video was how to follow people, how to send your first tweet, and how to retweet somebody. And in the next video, what we're going to talk about is we're going to understand what happens when you start getting followers and you want to be able to see what they're saying about you and you want to be able to have that conversation. So check out the next video, which is going to go on Twitter, and it's going to be about interaction. So you'll see that in the video responses below. Thanks, and check out socialmagnets.net.